always make sure it's as close to water's edge as I can get it there. It makes putting your keep nets in a lot easier and they sit over the edge, making sure that when you put fish in, they're not going to hit anything hard and damage them. First thing I do when I get to the peg is make sure that your box level. It's important that when you're sitting there for 5-6 hours at a time, to make sure that the box is level and you're not sat on an angle. With these Matrix boxes, it's obvious if it's level or not because you've got a spirit level. Make sure the bubble's inside the line, just as if you're doing decorating or whatever, and it'll keep you comfortable throughout the day. There's two main ways of setting up your legs. You can either adjust the main leg with this knob and that can take the main leg up and down, or if you do the side one, it adjusts the extendable bit. So this means that, like with your attachments on, if you adjust the main leg right down, your attachments are going to be down. So it's normally, if you can, it's better always to adjust the bottom part of your leg, the extendable part, so it keeps the main frame in shape. Last thing to do when you think your box is ready is go around and make sure each and every one of the knobs is tightened. Last thing you want to do when you're in the middle of a match is a leg to slip and you're going for a swim because it'll spoil everybody's day. Most fishing nowadays is done by pole. It's important when you're spending a lot of money on an item like that you protect it with two decent rollers. It's worth having two decent rollers that are roughly the same. It's good to have one set a bit higher at the back and one a bit lower at the front, so when you're shipping out it comes down at a slope gradually and eases straight through your hands. It's also important that when you're fishing past 11.5 metres that you use two rollers. It's not good having more than two sections of pole balanced behind one roller, as it puts weak spots in and it is likely that the pole will break if more pressure is put on it. It's always important when you've got one roller higher than the other that you use a pole sock. Sometimes the pole can run off into the water and glide straight past you, but with one of these it prevents it. It also keeps everything to hand and you know that your pole's where you left it, and then you can pick it straight back up and go straight back out without even looking. Setting up at a new venue, a plummet is the most important piece of kit that you can bring with you. Get to know the contours of the lake, what depths are where, etc. And always start in the margins, find the depth, work my way out, see where the shelf slopes down and the bottom of the shelf. See how wide the bottom of the lake is before you find the shelf, all the way up to the far side shelf, if there is one. It's always important once you've found the certain depth that you want to fish, that you mark it up on a top kit. This way, if you feel that you want to fish a couple of inches off deck, you can always slide the float down, and if it's not working you can always slide it back up to make sure that you're fishing exactly the same depth as what you've plumbed up. Tip for protecting your elastic once you've got your rig set up is use a bit of old pole elastic and tie a loop around the pole. This way you can hook your hook into it on the rig and then that means that there's less pole elastic exposed at the top. By keeping your elastic inside the pole, the elastic will last a lot longer. Whenever you're using ground bait, it's important not to leave it until you've set everything else up. Normally you come along, set your box up, get your pole out, and before you put rigs or anything else like that on, get your bait mixed up. Reason is it takes on quite a bit of water, does this. I'm using green swim stin today, full of fish meal, really good fish attractor. But like I say, it does take on a lot of water, so it's good, get set up with your box, add your water, mix it, and then you can leave it half hour while you put rigs on. Come back to it and it'll probably need a bit more water adding. When you're making rigs for a venue you don't know, it's always better to make them on heavy line. That way, if you get to the venue and you're catching a lot of little fish, you can put like an 0.10 hook length on, and vice versa. If you get to the edge and they're all really big carp, you can just put an 0.16 hook length on. So if you start off with a heavy main line, it covers all eventualities.